Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's presentation. Today, we will focus on underrepresentation in Hollywood. Every month, Kenjan delivers a focused presentation that is relevant to the National Diversity Calendar. And with September kicking off Labor Day, we are focusing on the entertainment industry. And today, I have the very distinct pleasure of featuring two very good friends of mine, Rolando Boyce from the hit show The Shy, and Ricky Hughes, who is a Grammy winning producer and Emmy winning producer, who I will tell you more about. My name is Kennedy Cobbin Richardson, and I am a partner at Kenjan LLC. We are a consulting firm specializing in diversity, equity, and inclusion. We bring a holistic and innovative approach to developing people, teams, and culture in organizations who pursue purpose as well as profit. We are laser focused on actual behavioral change. So if you're really trying to make a difference in your company, in your space, then we are influential at helping you be influential at every level of your organization. Our customized training does, it helps people acquire the essential skills to have courageous conversations. If you can't talk about it, you can't change it. Number two, acknowledge and accept the history and context of injustice in America. We live in a dual society, which means that we're both beautiful and terrible at the same time. We have high goals, but have been really base about some of the things that have happened in these last 400 years. And we have to be able to embrace both of those. Three, articulate the lived experiences of marginalized groups. When you are in those rooms where marginalized people don't exist, someone has to have that voice. And we're expecting that those of us who are on this ally journey will be able to take responsibility for bringing others into the room. Once they are in the room, then they're certainly able to speak on their own. But until that happens, we need allies to do that work for us. And number four, act as an ally to accelerate DEI where you live, work, and play. DEI never stops, whether you're on the tennis court, at the gym, playing football with the community league, whatever it is. DEI really does have a place there, and we're hoping that you're able to do that everywhere you are. And the goal is that you do achieve mastery in ways that as you seamlessly go about life, you'll be able to live these values. When you are looking at becoming an ally, there are various steps that you can take. And most of us are on the white belt level, which is just the introductory level of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and having a base level of knowledge in order to move to some of the higher levels, which include being able to recommend process improvements in your organization at the yellow level, being able to assist with data and collection and analysis and other higher end projects that would happen at the black belt level. And then once you become a master black belt, you will train and coach black belts and green belts functions at the Jedi level from the executive suite. So hopefully, wherever you think that you are, I'd like to test that and continue to move you up this pyramid. I am, again, a DEI consultant for multinational corporations and nonprofits. I've worked in youth development, workforce development, healthcare, and financial services. I have been a nonprofit executive director for two youth-serving nonprofits and community building, also a director for the Nevada Workforce Development Board, and a marketing professional for AmeriFirst and Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. But my true passion really is people actualizing their fullest potential. And that really includes removing the barriers of race, gender, age, and all those things that hold us back. So just so we're clear on the definition of ally, it is a person of one social identity group who provides actionable support to members of another group, typically a member of a dominant group forming an alliance with a marginalized individual or group that is being discriminated against or treated unjustly. So as we look at a lot of the stats when we're looking at entertainment, for example, the slide that I have up now shows us where the representation is for above the line talent. So out of all the films, only 8% of films have a Black producer or films or Black showrunners. So you can see that we have a long way to go as far as representation goes. And it looks similarly for the people who are in front of the camera. And so today we will look at or have a conversation with two people who have been in the industry for a very long time and have come up the ranks in order to really be able to have a perspective that is very valued. And so we will be talking with Ricky Hughes and Rolando Boyce. And so Rolando, he got his first TV appearance in Fox's pilot episode of Prison Break. He landed the role of Rufus, which he's most known for in well, I don't know if he's most known, but people do know this one, which is R. Kelly's Trapped in the Closet, for which he recurred in several chapters. It was on the set of Trapped where he met his lovely wife, Lachey Tomlinson, and they made a video marriage, a real one, in 2008. He resides in Los Angeles with his family, and Rolando has been in many commercials, TV shows, and movies. So we will be able to talk a little bit more about some of his career highlights. Ricky is a multi-Grammy and Emmy award-winning producer and showrunner of comedy specials, award shows, television series, and independent features. She is currently the executive producer at Magic Lemonade Productions. In 2018, Hughes was nominated for 2 NAACP Image Awards for Best Variety Special and won 3 Grammys for the Best Comedy Album with Dave Chappelle, The Age of Spin and Deep in the Heart of Texas, Equanimity, and The Bird Revelation, and Sticks and Stones. She has also won an Emmy for an Outstanding Variety Special, Dave Chappelle, Equanimity. After leaving the music business, Hughes began her television career producing award shows such as the BET 25th Anniversary Comedy Awards and Anniversary Special. So we will let her also tell us more about some of the current projects that she has. But let's go ahead and get into the conversation and welcome both Rolando Boyce and Ricky Hughes. Hi, guys.
Hi, hey, Kennedy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining today. I admire you both in the careers that you've had, and I've been able to actually watch Ricky rise. From a few years ago. I think you brought me on the set of, was it Comedy Central? I can't. It was, but he Gentry calls him Milk Dud.
He was. Was it when it was? It wasn't Faison.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Faison.
No, it wasn't Faison. Lavelle Crawford.
Lavelle Crawford. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to watch you work and do your magic back in the day. So certainly you've done so much more. And then Rolando, recently met Rolando, but he already feels like a brother to me. So I'm really glad that he's here with me today. But we met
about a year now, right?
Mm-hmm, about a year ago. Our daughters went to the same school, so we became acquainted there. So let's begin the conversation with your overall or framework perspective of, pretty much Blacks in entertainment. And we do know that underrepresentation is real. And from your levels, both in front of and behind the camera, where would you say we are? Almost a State of the Union address. Like, where do you think we are, and where would you like to see us go? And then we'll kind of unpack all those. So let's start with you, Ricky.
Well, first of all, like I say, I'm glad that things have changed. I think things are continuing to change. I think we can't stop the progress of where we're going. I'm really happy that we're starting to see more Black and brown people in front of the camera. And that, I think, has definitely increased. It still doesn't match up to where we are. If you think census-wise and representation of how many people we have in our population, that percentage is definitely still skewed. But, I think my biggest concern is, behind the camera, just because when you think about the writers, you think about the producers, the people that are really bringing these stories to the forefront, it's so important that we have that representation there, because those nuances have to be portrayed accurately. There's some things that people just don't understand. It has to do with the edit. All of these different parts of the story are really important, from the writer, the words that are on the page, for Rolando to be able to even have the words to say, They have to be words that are authentic. They have to be words that really speak to the story, and then when it comes to who's directing it, who's understanding, if there's someone looks at you to the left, and someone, who doesn't understand the culture would cut that out, and we would say, no, you have to leave that in. That's a side eye. That means something. That is a cultural nuance. So there are some things that are just important for us to understand, and then also just to round out so it feels like we're representing what the rest of the nation looks like.
Exactly. I was wondering, when you talk about Black and Brown, is there also an added pressure being a woman in this industry for you, being both Black and a woman?
Well, for sure. And I will say that I was, when I came from the music industry over to film and TV, I was really welcomed in by a great group of people. I worked with Carl Craig and Stan Lathan and Ralph Farquhar. So they were really welcoming to me. So I had a great welcome. I know it hasn't been that easy for other people. And a lot of times it's just people just don't know. Sometimes they just don't know how to get in. They don't know how to be represented. They don't know how to connect with other producers and writers and directors. So sometimes that's really difficult to get in. So that's one thing that I think having access and an entry point is really going to be important for a lot of people. And then as far as being a woman, this has been a man's world for a long time, and I get it. You hire what's next to you, you hire what and when you think about even when it comes to the networks, if they have a $10 million project, you know, they want to go with people that they know who are going to be able to deliver this $10 million project. So I understand what that is, but I think it's also important that they continue to look outside of where they are just to make sure that it's a well-rounded project from top to bottom. And, as a woman, we have a lot of things. I'm not one to just really, spend a whole lot of time on, everything that's wrong. I try to, highlight the things that are right, the things that we're doing better with. I just last week was at Ava DuVernay. They just finished Queen Sugar, and she brought in all female directors for 7 seasons, which is unheard of. And when we sat down and listened to these women's stories, you had women that had done major feature films, but they couldn't work their way into the scripted world for television. So their only entryway was through Ava. Ava literally picked up the phone. She called people. She jumped in their DMs. Anyone that she saw any of their work, she made it a feverish attempt for her and her team to make sure that they found the right people and that they were in. And that's what it takes to move the needle, to make things different, for you to stop looking just right next to you and looking on the other side of the fence.
Right. So that's what it says, that in order for more Black actors or producers, directors, it must be a Black executive in order to make that happen. So the statistics show that on a Black show that's led by a Black producer, executive producer, showrunner, 75% of that staff will be Black. When it is not led by a person of color, 85% will be white. And so when you mentioned Carl Craig, rest in peace, and Stan Lathan and Ralph Farquhar, were those the initial people who brought you into the industry? Like, what was your exact first opportunity?
Well, when I came over, I utilized and leveraged the relationships I had in the music industry and said, hey, we need to see them in another format than other just performing in a concert or you just listening to them. Like, there's another form of media and a wave that's coming. And I had realized at that point that the music industry was about to go into the toilet. Like, I ran the international department for the record label. So I started seeing the wave of digital media coming early on. And, we had a music industry that just didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear it from a Black person. They definitely didn't want to hear it from a woman. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to follow my heart and my cues. And I moved over to film and television. And so Carl Craig actually had, his production company had been doing music videos as well. So there was a nice tie over into the music video world and then into live shows and especially comedy. So my chops always lend in music and comedy because I spent so much time in those worlds. But I had to study. I had to figure it out. I couldn't just walk into it and just get going. I had to spend time with, figuring out. I came through physical production, so I had to figure out budgets and schedules and how to deal with the networks and how to understand our role as from the buyer side, from the seller side. All of those things are really important. How to crew up a show, like those things were really important because when it comes down to the fiscal part of it, we have to be in that conversation as well.
Mm-hmm. So Rolando, from the actor side, can you also talk about where you see this industry as far as available roles, and then get into, kind of how you first got in? Oh, Rolando, I can't hear you. Can you go ahead and talk for a second? You're kind of freezing. You're not frozen, but it's moving really slow. Okay. So I'll try to wait until he maybe can change location. Ricky, if we can continue our conversation around, so what are some of the ways that you have been able to bring in people to the industry as a producer today? Are most of your productions predominantly Black, or what does it look like?
They are, but they're predominantly Black, but I also skew heavily women as well. A lot of times women really define details, and the guys are, usually keep a lot of the global, not to make those broad generalizations. But, so I have women of all nationalities that work on my set that I support, that support me. I think it's really important to build a community, especially we go from show to show, and it's important to have someone that understands the integrity of what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing. For me, everyone has to be kind. I don't care if you like each other, it doesn't matter. I have the speech before every show. I said, look, you guys, I don't care if you can't stand each other. On this show, we're going to have the human experience. On this show, you will be kind, you will be respectful. And if you don't like them, you just don't talk to them after the show when you leave the set. And I think it's just a human courtesy. And we make sure that we extend that all the way across the board. And when it comes to staffing up, I make sure that the best person for the show is on that job. And I make sure I look on the other side of the fence. I make sure I'm constantly, finding out, even when we aren't doing shows, who are some of the top Black female showrunners. If I don't open up that door, if Ava didn't open up that door, then that door doesn't get open. So it's so important that we have those. Rolando's back.
Yay. Let me hear you talk, Rolando. Speak. You're still silent. I don't have your audio. Yeah. Uh-oh. I think, are you there?
Yeah, if you take out the earbuds, do they work?
Yeah, I feel like there's something gonna be there. Did you take it out of the computer itself? The auxiliary plug?
Because then sometimes you have to go back to the audio settings and tell them which port you're using.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe look at your audio settings. I still can't hear you.
You want to keep talking while he's working it out?
Yeah, I do. One of the things that you talked about is when you do bring on someone new, or if you are new yourself, how you have to exist under the banner of "you better be good." That was actually a really great conversation. So if you can tell me a little bit about, kind of what that pressure is like from a person who's hiring and a person who's, performing.
Yeah, so it's, it's interesting because when we have when we have shows and I step onto the show as the showrunner, and, like I said, I came from the physical production, so I, know every aspect of it. And I step on, you have, people who feel like, why is she here? I've been, a white male who's been doing these shows for all this time. I can't understand why we have to have this Black person on the set. And now that they're here, guess what? She better be good. And so there's a standard that we have to hit that is impeccable, that has to be perfect. There's not a lot of leniency for mistakes, because if there is a mistake, then they're like, see, this is why we shouldn't have had them on here. Mm-hmm. So there's a certain amount of pressure and, almost a target on your back. I tend to not, I'm aware that it exists, and I tend to just put on blinders when it comes to that and just keep my head down and just get things done. Mm-hmm. Because I can't spend a whole lot of time looking around and worrying about how everyone feels, Mm-hmm. But it's, it's definitely weighs on you, that it's, that it exists. And, mm-hmm. We just have to keep moving the needle so that we can get to the other side of it, and to where it's, there's a normalcy about it.
You sound very.
Oh, yes.
You can hear me now. Oh,
yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
God is good. You are here. Thank you for working that out. So excited to bring you into the conversation. So if you can tell us.
Good Lord. I thought I was going to have to do sign language or something like that.
That would be bad, because I don't know how to read it. If you could tell us a little bit about the state of acting as it relates to Blacks in Hollywood, and, kind of just your perspective and how you feel about it all.
Well, I definitely feel like we're getting better. I mean, I've been in the business over 25 years, and I started, as I think I told you, I started in the theater. I came up in the theater in Chicago, and as you said that, I started thinking back to how, I would audition, and sometimes, especially like a Black play, an August Wilson play or something like that, used to come around once a year, maybe around, February or something like that, and it was just be like every Black actor who was in Chicago was all going out for the same part. I mean, if you didn't get one of those plays that were going around during Black History Month, you may not have gotten one outside of maybe some community theaters. And then, some of the plays, even if they weren't Black plays, may have one or two roles that you could probably get in. So it was a lot tougher back then, especially starting out. And then I didn't, also back in Chicago back then, it wasn't like how it is now with all the different shows and things like that were going on in the city. So that was one of the reasons why I was happy to make the move out to Los Angeles. But it was almost like starting all over again. No one cared about my theater credits that I had in Chicago. Nobody cared about anything I did. It was almost like I was starting out again brand new. And, gradually over the years, I could see that the changes were coming. Again, like Ricky said, it's definitely still is a man's world, but the presence of women isn't like how it was now. We didn't have all the different shows that are streaming. I can't even recall any kind of Black showrunners back then, or having behind the set producers and directors how we see them now. So I think we're getting to a much better place. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement, but it is a lot more roles out there for us.
Mm-hmm. Now, I believe that you can also speak a little bit around, well, not a little bit, around some of the women in roles as well, just because you and your wife are both working actors and are, on that grind every day. What is it like? And in order to do that, we were talking before about how it's difficult to survive on one or two roles a year. And some people survive on much less than that, or try to, and then, end up just going to get a regular job just because they're just simply not able to make ends meet, or people are delaying family because, they can't really support one. Did you have any of those issues, as you were coming up?
All of the above. I mean, it was, you know, it's a tricky thing. I mean, we really, as actors, if there's anyone out there in the business that, we have to really love what we do and put everything into it, because like when I first came out here, the agent I had didn't know me, didn't trust me. I would go out maybe for 3 TV shows a year. Maybe I booked one of them. And I'm thinking like, man, 1 out of 3 ain't bad. But if I had more opportunities, I probably could book more.
Mhm.
You know, and you just don't get a lot of opportunities. And the same, like you said, for women. I mean, I think it was probably even worse for Lachey, for my wife. You know, but we have to just keep grinding and grinding, and we try to do as much as we can as actors. Whether it's and being an actor is not just booking a show, or you can do a play, you can read a play, you can get together with friends, you can put productions together. I mean, look at Issa Rae. If she didn't do her show on YouTube, she would have never had Insecure. It's just we have to sometimes think outside the box and create our own projects so that we can continue to thrive in what we do and what we love to do.
Mhm.
And there's one other thing, Kennedy, that's also, important that I think it might feel small to some people, but it really makes a difference. I have for a long time, even the supporting staff, hair and makeup, wardrobe, none of them could understand any Black nuances. So once we started even bringing Black characters onto shows, we had, some of our, Black male, they would put, this makeup on their face that didn't look right. They were just, they didn't want to do Black women's hair. So they would just slap wigs on them. They didn't want to hire. We had to work really hard to bring more Black and brown people into the unions. They would get, edged out of these shows where they weren't there, and still we fight for them to be leads. We fight for them to be, on the forefront, to say, no, there are natural hairstyles that are happening, and there are ways that we can have protective styles, for our cast, and we aren't just kind of slapping these wigs on everybody without, and even those wigs didn't look right, and I remember seeing different actors and actresses like literally in tears, like, I can't go out like this, like they will drag me for the way I look right now.
Right.
And the executive producers and the studios were like, look, we don't have time for this. We have to make our day. Just get out there and do what you have to do. And so can you imagine, and I can't imagine, Rolando, you could probably speak to this more than anyone, but as an actor or an actress, to have to get into character, to have to, really be into this role and then feel like I look crazy,
Oh yeah.
how does that play?
Oh, most definitely. I learned early on after being on a couple of sets, and I would go in thinking like, oh, okay, I got a job. As soon as I get there, I'm getting my hair tightened up, and I get on there. Oh yeah, you look fine. No, I don't. I need a haircut. What are you talking about? I look fine. And I can see the difference, from the shows that I did where it was a predominantly white cast, white show, I should say. Whereas opposed to like if I was like right now, like I'm on The Shy, whereas most of the cast and crew is Black. When I go in there, I know I'm gonna get a nice haircut. You know what I mean? Same with when I worked on P Valley in Atlanta. You could definitely feel the difference with the cast and the crew. Which I also, even more so than that, I think that the Teamsters Union, which I know a couple of guys in the Teamsters Union that they're trying to trust everything, we need the more presence there, because it's kind of like a thing of if someone knows you, then they trying to bring you in, and for us, it's really hard for us to get into the Teamsters Union, and those are even all the grips and everything like that. I mean, it's just. I think we need more presence there, again, behind the scenes.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like I see all over. It's it's even how are they lighting skin? I have a big mandate when it comes to lighting Black men, like being able to understand. First of all, don't run out there with a white napkin and try to wipe their face, or a white towel. Like understanding there's just some things that you shouldn't do, like we're not going to put this crazy green light on them and they look sick, so
Right.
they're just, there's ways that you can just light them that they look beautiful. But one, if people don't have that experience. Two, if they don't even have the wherewithal to think that it's a problem, they're like, no, they all look flat and it's fine. It's like, it's not okay.
So does anybody have any voice on a predominantly white set to say, hey, this makeup doesn't look right, this hair doesn't look right, the lighting doesn't look right? Does anyone have that power, or is it just like, shut up and read your lines?
I mean, there's a lot of people that have that power. It's saying, do they know? Because sometimes they don't care enough to even know the difference, and then so there's a couple of checkpoints. I mean, look, whoever's doing your hair and makeup should, one, be the first line of defense, not even sending you on that camera without you looking great. They should be looking in the monitors, making sure that it looks good. The next line of defense, you have a director there. The director should be saying, hold on, this doesn't work. Let's stop. Let's get this together and let's make this right. There's an executive from the network or the studio that's there who's looking at these dailies, who's watching as they're shooting, who should be saying, hold on, they're sweating. No one's tending to them. Their hairline is moving right now. Like, there's someone who should be spending some time with that. And then you ultimately have the executive producer who should be there, the showrunner, who's saying, hold on. Like, there's so many layers of checks and balances that should be in place. And we shoot 4K now. No one is shooting in old school video anymore. So we see everything. And so, but it's important, if you don't have those people as the stopgate, if you don't have those people in the downline, then those people don't even see anything. They don't care that there's a difference. They're like, whatever.
Yeah. And it should be. I mean, now, especially with the hair and makeup, I mean, you have multiple people. It's not just one person usually doing a hair or makeup. So there should be like someone who understands our hair, someone who understands our makeup, and there were times where, I learned, like I said, I learned quickly. So next time I went to set, okay, let me get a haircut before I go, because if they're going to tell me I'm fine, I want to make sure I am straight.
Right.
I automatically, I go right in. I make my voice heard and just say, like, I don't need too much. I'm not doing the news. You know what I mean? I want to look natural. So you can take away where where my lines are from my glasses, but if I don't voice myself, they're gonna start taking on that stuff, all that makeup on that I don't need.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that fair? Why is that fair when your counterparts, have everyone there supporting them, but you have to go get a haircut before you show up on set? You have to, it's just, I think they think that, oh, they're just being difficult. And it's like, no, we're not being difficult, because you really care about how you look.
Right.
Like, this is something that's, this is an indelible mark that's being made, that now this media is going to go out. Hopefully when you're creating a show, everyone hopes it's going to be successful. They hope millions and millions of people are going to watch it.
Why not? Yeah, bring out the best for everyone. Because if we're feeling better about how we're looking, then we could have a better performance too.
100%.
So I've known certainly many hairdressers and makeup artists who their dream is to get on a set. So they're certainly available. But do either of you have any advice for somebody who might be listening who, is a makeup artist or hairstylist? What's the first step to getting a job on a set?
Well, I mean, one, you have to, is it a union set or is it non-union set? A lot of the shows that you're going to have on the major networks are going to be a union set, and they can't even have you on the set if you're not union. So, it's kind of a catch-22. But what you can do, if you're someone's personal, and if Rolando says in his contract, like, I want my own personal person that's going to come in and do this, and they want you on this set, they will have to get you into the union so that you can be on that set. So sometimes it's the actors bring them on. Sometimes it's the producers who just say, hey, this person, we need them. We don't have this representation. We have this Black cast. I need to bring someone in because no one else is available. And then they can speak to the union and petition for you to be a union member from that point and start to get your hours. There's also, I also say there's a responsibility too of the artist, meaning the hair and makeup technicians, to be of service. If you want to be in this world, if you want get next to the people that are in the world, be of service. How can I help you? How can I assist you? Can I come on and be a PA? Can I do something on this set? So that I know the etiquette of set, that I understand, because it's nothing like, you open up this door and you let someone in and they don't understand. I'm stepping in, they're talking while someone else is doing something. They don't understand how to, how to work with the bees. So there's also the place of being able to know protocol, and that, you want to feel like you know what you're doing when you step onto the set, because it's not the same just as getting a haircut at the barber shop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's so true. That is so true. But I think like in any business, whether it's active, producer, hair or whatever, driving truck, you gotta grind. You gotta figure out a way to get on, because the thing is, the common phrase is, we don't want to hire you because you don't have any experience. Well, how can I get experience without you?
Yeah.
Just got to find ways. I think I was having this conversation with my daughter, like when I started acting, I didn't know what I was going to do, but the first thing that came to me was like, can you understudy this play? Sure. And I was understudy. I was trying to be the best understudy I could be. And I was like, if anyone misses their, for some reason, I'm getting on and I'm doing my thing. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what got me started. Someone saw me when I went up, and then next thing you know, I was able to get in another show. But it's that you have to be hungry for it. You really have to be, and be willing to do whatever you can.
But the reality is, particularly for Black people, the social networks just simply aren't there. For example, Ricky, you were able to come over from, the music industry, and you were also, Rolando, in the plays. And not to say that that's not what other people can do, but we were talking yesterday, Rolando, about the Ivy Leagues and why, if you can, be NYU Film School or, Harvard MFA degree, you do have a leg up because of those social networks that you're able to establish there. And so I don't see, I don't see it now, and only being back in LA for a year, I don't see parties like I think I used to, or mixers, or places where people can meet people. I mean, I guess you can attend a film festival, but what are some of the ways that people can build up their networks so that they can meet people, who can say, hey, here's an opportunity, come on the set, or let me show you, or be a mentor to someone?
Well, I think a couple of things is, one, you can attribute some of it to the pandemic of not really gathering so much, and also not having so many people on the set right now, where you used to have set visits. So that's something we're slowly moving out of, but there's still a mindfulness of it, which totally makes sense. But I always tell, when people come to me and they say, I want to be a writer, and I tell them, well, write. And they say, I want to be a producer, and I say, produce. And I say that because in this stage, even when I first stepped into it, it wasn't necessarily as, the access that there is now. If you want to be a writer, you could write a script, do your best job. When you think of even musicians, your first project is usually your best one. You've had your whole life to put it together, right? Write it. You have another friend who wants to be a camera guy. They shoot it. They can take their phone and shoot your words. Everybody, you can always find someone who wants to be an actor. Get someone who wants to be an actor. Get them together. Start to build your tribe around you. Create this piece. Do like Issa Rae. Put it up. Create your own reel. Get it out there to the people. Make sure that you are doing your job. There's, sometimes there are people that just I want to be this filmmaker. It's like, well, have you started researching filmmaker? Who's your favorite filmmaker? And they can't answer. I said, when you really want to do this, come back and talk to me. Because when I wanted to do it, I did the work. You have to put in the work. You need to know what you're speaking about. You don't have to know everything, but you should know the basics. And with the internet, you can get information about all of it. Then the next thing I say is get next to someone. Always say, stand next to the W. If you are really willing to be of service, I say, what's your favorite TV show? What kind of writer do you want to be there? I want to be a producer for scripted TV. What's your favorite show? Oh, my favorite show is Atlanta. Okay, great. So you should find out all of the people that work on that show You should reach out to them, say, I will work for free. I just want to be here and shadow you. I just want to be of service. No one passes up free work unless you're just like totally in, unless you're just really acting kind of crazy with them. But if you just want to come in and do free work, people will have you around them. I want to sit in your office while you guys are prepping. Do you mind if I sit in the writer's room? Do you mind if I do just see if you can be of service and help someone. And if you're good at what you're doing, you understand people, because a big part of it is you have to understand the nuances and be able to deal with people and make sure that you aren't, uh, being annoying in the process. But they will say, because we're always looking for new people, good producers have 5 shows going on. Then you're like, oh, this person that's been showing up every day at the office, looking to help, wanting to know more. I want to give them a shot. And then you bring them in and you work your way in. It's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% on everything that you said right there. I mean, I mean, especially nowadays with social media. I mean, you can get on Instagram and all, some overnight celebrity. You know what I mean? But you still have to put in the work. I think that one thing, as far as being an actor who works with my craft, you don't want to. Hard to see when someone comes on and they're not really an actor, but maybe they're a social media person, and they're able to come on. But I don't. For me, it's enough work for everyone. I just don't think that person is going to be able to last, because it's not. When you get in front of the camera and someone's going to see that you're not really bringing a lot to the table, then you're probably going to go right back to social media. But I do think there's so many platforms that you can, with YouTube, it's just so easy to write, to create. And again, like Ricky said, just, latch on to someone. When I first got here, I went to all the universities and did, they all have filmmakers there, and did a lot of student films, because someone may want to say, well, can I see a reel? You don't have a reel. Do some student films, get some material, get some stuff that you can show what the work that you're doing. It's always, and I'll still do it. I as a young man, I know that's in college, and he still calls me up and asks me to work on some projects. I'll do it, because I think he has a future, and when he blows up and he's the next, Spike Lee, I'm attached to him. So, it's always ways of getting work and keeping the grind going.
Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Do you, switching the conversation slightly, in our community, a lot of times there is some crabs in the barrel mentality that happens. Do you ever feel like some of the efforts that you put forth can sometimes be, other Black people can be an obstacle for you? Has that ever happened? And tell me about it if it has.
I mean, I don't, once again, I look at what I choose to look at. And, I think in every scenario, you're going to have some bad actors, or you're going to have people that, that make it difficult. But then I just realized those are the people that come from a place of fear. They come from a place of scarcity, that there isn't going to be enough, that there's not enough room for everyone else. And I just try to stay far away from that, because fear can be contagious, especially when you're creating and you're in this ideation phase and your heart is open and you're figuring things out. So I tend to stay away when I start to see the fear kind of component come in. I just stay away and usually try to position myself into a different place, because it's, I think it doesn't have to do with just Black people. I think it has to do with every race. I think it's more of a human experience of, people feeling like there's not enough. And so I have to be fearful of you. Or sometimes it's just a reflection that, they had the same opportunities you had, and you did more with those opportunities. And then they feel in their heart like, oh, now this person is a threat for me. I mean, it happens in the comedy world all the time. You have new comics that come up, and if it's someone that's blazing, firing up the stage, those old comics will tear you down. In that back green room, they will let you know, like, you aren't going to be anything. You don't need it. You don't know what you're doing. They say all those things because they're thinking, hey, this new kid is coming in, surpassing me, stealing the shine. Like, once again, it's fear. So I think it comes back to defining who you are. Like, am I going to be moved by this? Because if you're going to be moved by fear, this probably isn't the industry for you.
That's I've heard stories about that, like with comedians. I don't have a problem with it. I know that there's probably some people who have a little negativity toward or some. It's the competition of it, I guess. You know what I mean? They feel like that we're competing, and I never feel that way. I have black friends, male, female, where oh man, I'm trying to find an agent. Okay, I'll introduce you to mine, knowing, and I've introduced guys, and I say guys because we're in the same category, to my agent, to my manager. Like, yeah, you're good, I'm good. It's enough work to go around. I don't feel threatened by you that you're gonna take anything away from me. If I can help you get on, fine. And if you don't get it, I'm gonna get it, or one of the other million people that's out here trying to get it is gonna get it. So it's not. I don't think that there's. I never felt like that. I have enough confidence in my work and my craft that I'm gonna still keep working.
Yeah, I believe to stay away from that whatever God has for me, I'm going to have, and that no one else can take that away. So I don't worry about, even if something's taken, that somehow I'll be restored and I'll still continue on my path. But Ricky, you've said throughout the conversation sort of what you want to focus on. You sound very evolved. Is there any work that you've done or anything that you ascribe to keep you focused in a positive way?
Oh, man, I constantly work. I work on myself every morning. I start off every day with gratitude. It's Pavlovian with me now. Like, as soon as I hit the shower, I just start with the thank yous. Like, I'm just thankful for my health, for my family, for my career, for what's coming up next, things known and unknown. Like, I stand in gratitude every day. I lay my head down with gratitude, and that for me has been the biggest movement. I feel different if I don't have that in my space. And sometimes you have to thank them for the fires. And, it doesn't matter. It's not about religion at all. It's more of, I believe, a spiritual moment of just grounding myself, understanding that, I'm really not curing cancer here. It could be worse. I get to get up every morning and create something that I like and do what I love. Like, I love what I do. I have fun with what I'm doing. It's challenging for sure, but I'm handsomely rewarded for it. So what do I have but to not be happy and thankful for? There are fires that come along, but those are things that push me to be even better and greater and push me out of my comfort zone. So that's why I can't be consumed by other small things that are not for me.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Rolando?
That's beautiful. I mean, definitely I meditate every day, and I'm very grateful. Just like Ricky said, very grateful. I mean, I'm doing what I love to do. Not too many people. I mean, you look at people who I grew up with in either high school or from school or college or whatever, and maybe doing a job that they can't stand. I'm actually doing something I love to do. Out here in Los Angeles, beautiful outside. I love to run. I run almost every day. I like to get out there and feel the air. And I think I may have mentioned yesterday. Like yesterday, I went running and I was like, oh, I don't have anything to do today. And the next thing I know, like 3 auditions came in, and I started to like sweat and panic. Like, oh Lord, I got to hurry up. I said, look, thank God I got 3 auditions. This is 3 more opportunities I have. And it's always, you have to just remind yourself that this is what I love to do. I like the test of it. Like, oh, okay, I need to get this in by tomorrow. I can do it. I've done a play where I had to learn 100 pages, so I can learn a few pages in a day and get this down. So I'm just very happy that I get to do what I love to do. And like I think you said earlier about like working odd jobs as for actors and things. I've done that. Used to wait tables for years. I used to work overnight at a hotel, so to finally be able to work as an actor on my own right now, it feels great. It's amazing. Oh Lord, I done set my dogs off. Sorry.
It's okay. That's okay. And so the Shy is amazing this season. Love the way your character is really evolving. Any last words about, well, one, if you want to talk about any current projects, any future projects, regarding you today. And so I see that through the chat, you have lots of fans here today. So any last words?
You're talking to me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we did wrap up season 5 of The Chi. Thank God we got picked up for another season, so we start season 6 probably beginning of the year. And I shot a guest star of All Rise on the OWN network. Shot it a couple of months ago, so it should be airing probably within the next month or two. I'll definitely let you know.
Okay.
And hey, it's a lot of auditions. I just finished one right before we started the podcast. And I have another one I have to get done. So it's more work is coming. More work is coming.
Congratulations. You're welcome. Congratulations on your success. And I can't wait to see the new episodes that are coming out. And so, Ricky, what do you have coming up?
Oh, gosh. Well, tomorrow, my HBO Max series, The Hype, is season 2 is coming out. So we launch. You guys go watch it, download it, have fun. We have my Chappelle's last special, we're actually directed, is out. What's in the Name? We have, I'm shooting a show tomorrow for BMAC, which is the Black Music Action Coalition, with the baby and a bunch of other people on it. We have, I'm doing a project with Tina Lawson called Waco, which is a wearable art, which is happening next month. I'm also doing a project with Fat Joe with his documentary Live on Stage on Broadway. And I'm shooting Tracy Morgan for his special coming up. And I could just keep going on. We got a lot of great things on the horizon. But this is what's happening in the next 30 days.
All right.
Right.
Exactly. That's just really amazing. So thank you both for being on today. It's been a thrilling conversation and very positive. I hope people really understand the grind that it takes to succeed here, and to have the passion that they need to persist, obviously, and that you guys are 2 shining examples of what it means to be successful in this business. So thank you again for being here today, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Right.
Trying to get shoot. She can iron everybody.
Exactly. But now you know each other, so make it happen.
Please connect us.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
take care.